All right, it's awesome. I think there's people still coming in, so we're just gonna get started. We have a lot to cover tonight. I'm super excited to be here. Who was here with us in January? Okay, you got a bunch in January. All right. Yeah. Yes. Grant, come on in, buddy. So we got Life is in the house tonight. Sad and Sam was here. Actually, we have a student from NYCC here tonight.
Give it up. Give it up. All in.
Yeah, that's about opposite chiropractic universe from Sherman, huh?
It's polar opposites.
Polar opposites. Yeah. So that's all right. I'm glad you're here. We're gonna dunk you in the back here for about an hour. Well, we're super excited to be here tonight. You know, for those of us that may not were the last launch, it's the vision of launch, and the reason that we've been to so many chiropractic colleges, myself, Dr. Brower, Dr. Viscarelli, Dr. Kowalski, and a bunch of others. Zeus over here has been a bunch of us. So, you know, NYCC, LACC, Parker, Palmer, you know, I'm forgetting some, Sherman, obviously Life, and within a few others. The reason is this, because we believe that, you know, chiropractic really needs to go and meet critical mass. We really need to reach and go beyond where we're going now, and I believe that it starts with the students. We believe that, you know, if it doesn't start with the students, it's really never going to happen. You know, everybody talks about, you know, seeing more people and, you know, chiropractic gaining its, you know, rightful place in healthcare, right? And that's what we believe, right? Who believes that we need to gain a rightful place in healthcare? That really people have a better understanding of why children should get checked, why families need better care. I was talking to somebody today, and they were saying, man, you know, it seems like, you know, I saw they were watching something about the launch recently, and they said it seems like the presentation is so clear and it makes so much sense. I said, well, what's interesting is that the public at large out there, right? This is like chiropractic bubble here. The public at large out there, if chiropractic is presented in a simple, clear, concise, and, you know, kind of a common sense way, you know, like just presenting what chiropractic is, instead of adding all these adjunctive things to it, we just present chiropractic as it is, audio, right? That's what chiropractic is. People get it. They really do. And when they get it, they'll pay for it. They value it, right? And they'll bring their families, their kids, and we can, all of us, do a better job at serving more people in the communities that each of you are destined to be at, right?
Yeah, it's like I know I was a student 3 years ago, and it's like there's so many things coming at you. There's so much confusion of just learning your technique and then getting to your classes. And so we want to make sense of all that complicated things that are running at you and just say, hey, there is a formula. And we're going to have some speakers tonight that are going to share some really basic steps that are doing huge things in their community. And then we're going to break down a formula that we see as serving so many chiropractors that are just fresh out of school, just running out knowing exactly what to do and just having clarity. You know, who in here has perfect clarity of how they want to do it from start to finish and just start seeing people? I mean, anybody here tonight? So we want to help you start going down that path, because there are literally students graduating across this country with clarity, and there's some here tonight. They know exactly where they're going to go, what they're doing, what they're going to say, and when and how, and when and why, and all the different answers. So they have all those answers before they graduate.
Yeah, and you know, Michael and this is Dr. Eric Brower, you know, 3 years in practice, serving 1,000 visits a week. Dr. Michael, who's not with us tonight, he just had a baby a couple of days ago. You know, literally 2 years in practice, 1,300 visits a week, huge practices, and just seeing lots of kids and families. Dr. Kowalski, he is on the launch tour with us too. 50% pediatrics, right? And in a 1,000 visit a week practice, 50% of the kids in that, 50% of the practice members in that practice are under the age of 18. That's a lot of kids, right? 500 kids a week coming through there. Like a zoo. So, but those are the awesome.
Do you have the patience for that?
You know me, I'm like, I love kids, not that many.
He says his joke is he has 50% geriatrics. That's for his speed.
Yes, geriatrics. So I'm the old guy in the group. I've been in practice 15 years. But the cool thing about launch is that our objective is to bring young docs that, you know, still have a lot of gas. I still have a lot of gas in my tank too, don't get me wrong. But young docs that have a lot of gas in their tank. And you guys, you know, when you graduate, that's when your tank is the fullest, right? I mean, your tank is the fullest. Now, you know, as you're practicing, you have to do a lot to keep your tank full. But when you graduate, you get out of here, it's like, man, you're ready to take on the world. You know, so, hey, if we can get you prepared so when you do take on the world, then you go for it and you go after it and you don't get jaded or beaten up or so dismantled that you don't do chiropractic anymore. That's our objective. So tonight, Dr. Bear is 3 years out. He's going to be sharing with us. Dr. Tyler is about 2 years out. Dr. Zeus about 3 years out. Dr. Jess about 2 years out. Dr. Grant's going to share in the morning. He just graduated. So it's relative, right? These people, these docs were in your. They just, a lot of them just got done boards, I mean, 2 years ago, they were just through part 4. They were sitting in your seats just not too long ago. Yet very successful, profitable in the first month or two of practice. So one of the things you have to hear this weekend is, BJ's always said there's no starvation period in chiropractic. And I'll let you know there is no starvation period in chiropractic. You could be absolutely successful, profitable, serve the way you want to serve, do it the way you want to do it. You can do it your way. Now, if your sole purpose is to be an associate, be an associate. If your sole purpose is to own a franchise in chiropractic, do that. If your sole purpose is to own your own practice, right? Do that. But we're going to say, don't be forced into that.
Yeah, don't be forced into it. Don't do things because you're doing it for the bottom line, which is the money, right? Do things because you really want to do it, and not because you need to do it for financial reasons. So we want you guys to practice exactly how you want, and so we're going to talk a little bit about that right now.
Yeah.
So really, when you're in school, the key word is preparation. So this is your preparing time. This is the time before the game. This is your practice time. So what are the things you need to practice on? Well, chiropractic technique, right? You need to get down chiropractic techniques, what you want to do. These are all the kind of baseline things. One thing with if you're not over prepared, you're under prepared, and you need to write that down, right? Because there's so many people that's leaving school and they think, I know what I want to do, but can you literally write out your action steps from A to Z, what you're going to do and when? So when you're in school, you're preparing. You're learning how to market. You're learning how to communicate chiropractic. Sell chiropractic, essentially, because what are we selling? Are we selling chiropractic? No, we're actually selling health. And that is something that we need to get out to this community, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's like right now, what do I do right now, Dr. Barr? Well, we always talk about when we were in school, it's like, how many, it's like, well, I don't really know what to do. How many opportunities just in your, like on the weekend, you're out shopping on Saturday, Sunday, you're at church, whatever you're doing. And there's so many opportunities just one-on-one to talk about chiropractic and health, right? We're bombarded with people that are sick or have problems, or, whether it be in the food line at Piggly Wiggly, or at Piggly Wiggly, don't they?
No, so
Oh, come on, Piggly Wiggly, South Carolina, man. All right, what's the store with the 3 big red dots? What's that one? That's the liquor store, isn't it? No, they have the 3 big. What's it called?
ABC.
All right, well, you're ABC after tonight. After you guys bust out of here at 9 p.m., go to ABC. But seriously, there's opportunities. Now, here's the craziest thing. There's opportunities to talk about chiropractic with fellow students. Really, I mean, even with fellow students, you know what I mean? So it's like you just start now. You say it's like a simple question to start. It's like, what do you say? Just when you're in line, when you're checking out at Piggly Wiggly or Winn-Dixie, it's like, hey, who's your chiropractor? Just say the checkout person. Challenge you. Who's your chiropractor? And you see where the conversation goes.
You guys have an awesome president here, Dr. Cordero. But one of the best things that our president said, we went to Life University, and the best thing he said is that in chiropractic school, they teach you how to pass boards, but you need to learn chiropractic on your own. And I think one of the biggest things that we forget when you're in chiropractic school is that you're actually in chiropractic school, and you're not in, say, like TV school or workout school, or you should be putting all your time, because you know what you're going to do for the rest of your life. You shouldn't be focusing on chiropractic. So that doesn't mean just passing your boards. You need to focus on being a great chiropractor.
Yeah, absolutely. So you were in workout school for how long? How many quarters were you in school?
Probably, for 2 years. 2 years, it's focusing on working out and getting good grades, and that was all my focus. And so it really switched when a light bulb went in my head, 6 months to graduation, and I said, I'm not prepared whatsoever. And so if anyone knows me, they know I was a very hard worker, so I just dove all in, and I was just chasing after these guys and people that were before me that were doing it. I just dove all in and just gathered up every single bit of information I did. And even though myself is diving 100% all into chiropractic, learning chiropractic, learning techniques, everything else, learning how to market and open my own office, I was still behind the game. And I learned a lot of things the hard way. And we had a great first year, but it was the amount of work that I had to do. I mean, it just wasn't a fun year. I can say that with a lot of truth. A lot of fighting behind the scenes of my spouse and I, a lot of uncertainties, just a lot of unanswered questions that I was finding out way too late. So that's my biggest joy, is that we go around and we had just had a big conference, and so many students were coming up and they're saying, man, I'm in like you guys do quarters or tries? I'm sorry, quarters. Yeah, so they're like, I'm in 10th quarter. I know it's time to get plugged in now. And it's like, when I was in school, that wasn't the case. Nobody was saying those sort of things when I was in school. Nobody was saying I have to get prepared. It wasn't even talked about being prepared. So I know we're making a difference with these stories.
Absolutely.
Because people are starting to get the big idea that, hey, we need to start doing something while we're in school, not just pass boards.
Yeah. Learn to get out alive.
Yeah.
You can do some things like start finding location, visiting practices.
Yeah, visiting practice is one of the most important things. So, so many people may say, I want to incorporate exercise in my practice and nutrition, and that's great. But have you seen one doing that in real life? Have you gone to an office? Have you seen a great example of that? You may say, I want to be an AK doc. Well, have you gone to an office and observed an AK doc for over a week? It may sound like a great idea on paper, but once you start spending time doing those things, is that really still your sole purpose?
Yeah, there's a big push in chiropractic now. I know not at Sherman, but if you are involved in things outside of Sherman potentially, it's like a big push. It's like, exercise, functional medicine, nutrition, all these different things, and then the chiropractic fits in there somewhere. But it's a good question. It's like whatever you want to do, but have you seen a model of that? Have you explored that? Have you seen it work? Is it working?
Yeah.
The working model, or is it just in theory?
Yeah, it just sounds good on paper. Like, yeah, I'm gonna have the athletes over here. I'm gonna have the families over here. We're gonna split it. We're gonna do this. And I had all those ideas, so I know I'm speaking to myself right now. But like when I went to his office and I saw their office, he's all of our mentors. He really is, Dr. Jeremy, Dr. Amanda. He's all of our mentors. And when you see their office and you just see a team, you think high volume. And for me personally, I thought high volume, and I thought, really like not really a sincere place, maybe just people running through and just whatever. And I just saw a lot of love, and I saw an awesome team, and I just saw fun, and I saw joy. And I saw the vice versa of that. I saw another model where I was interning in another office that it was a sports office, and it wasn't principal, and it was all half an hour per visit. And I was literally an hour there felt like a whole week at his office, meaning that hour was the longest hour ever, meaning it was really boring in that office. It wasn't my sole purpose. And behind the scenes, I realized a lot of it was for billing purposes, right? So I just say go to these different offices. Don't just make assumptions. Don't just make assumptions that I want to be an AK doc. I want to do this. If you want to do that, fine. But go see those examples, and then see if you really want to do that. And then see examples of what we're talking about. Family offices, tons of kids, just tons of fun, tons of energy, and it's a blast every single day. So visit offices, get locations. Get out of school alive, learn to communicate. That's this phase that you guys are in right now. It's a very important phase. When you're in this phase, there's no bills coming in. For most of you, right? I mean, some of you have families and things.
Yeah, no bills.
The next phase, okay, is the jumpstart phase. And this is a very important phase. And this is something that we just keep perfecting. Because this is literally the most crucial phase. And what we're saying with this phase is 100 on the books.
Sure, yeah, it's the exponential growth of it all, because just like if you were to invest your money and, you look at the percentage, like, invest $100 at, let's say, 6% versus 12%, and in the beginning of the first year, right, that won't look like much, right? But if you look at 5 years from then or 10 years from then, it would be like exponential difference would be unbelievable. So if you can open your practice strong, right, from the beginning, the exponential growth in the beginning, you may not, everybody has that kind of practice in the first couple months. Yes, but as you build that momentum and you build a solid foundation of practice members and families, people that trust you and love you and refer, if you take that exponential, you look at that chart, it's like this, compared to the average practice. So in 5 or 10 years, really in 2 or 3 years, but even 5 or 10 years, the stability you have financially, the amount of people you're serving and have served and adjusted and taken care of and helped is just, the numbers are astounding, the difference. And that's what we're all about, is creating that shift where people can be successful in the beginning.
Yeah, so just so you're all on track with this is before you open. This is from graduation to before you open. This is such an important time period, and this is the biggest time period, just a big tidbit for you guys, biggest time period wasted because you spend time worrying about things you shouldn't worry about. Like you got contractors and you're putting all your time in your contractors. This is the time to put numbers on the books. And we know we looked into the franchise world, and in a franchise world, certain gyms, certain places, they will not open without 300 pre-sales on a book. So corporate, big businesses know that you want to open up with energy. You do not want to open up a new establishment without people already there. Because what are people going to say? Say you're going into a new office, it's a brand new doc, you know it's a new office, and there's crickets in the waiting room. Is that really gonna make you want to refer a lot of people in? No. What if you go into a brand new office that's in town? The chiropractor, this new doc's in town, all over town. They open up the door. There's a ribbon cutting, and the room is packed. They're gonna be talking about you everywhere you go. And so what we say is 100 on the books your first week. 100 on the books first week. If 75 show up,
Hey, amazing.
not a bad problem.
Shoot for the stars.
It's not a bad problem. So ribbon cutting, when to do it, how to do it, and just want you to be confident through this period. That's why in school you're preparing to get to this point. You don't want to be learning all these marketing and how to adjust during this time period. That should already be done. This should be done in school. Okay, let's go to the next phase. So we call this the opening phase. This is from opening on, and I put a question mark there because some of the offices are blown up so quick that, I mean, for some of us it'd be opening to 3 years, and for others it's opening to a year.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, they're, you know, how exactly, how the office flows, I mean, support everyone's what you offer, make a difference. Or, I mean, there's a lot that goes into this, and like we said, if you can get clarity and certainty on exactly, you know, what that looks like now, or at least a lot of it, what it looks like now, then again, you can have that opening, and, you know, because so many people, I mean, we get this all the time, you know, I'm tired of the private messages on Facebook about people that are living with their mother-in-law 2 years in practice and can't make ends meet. You know, these are real stuff that we get all the time. You know, it's like, man, I just need help. You know, I don't know what to do. Yeah. It's like, you know, they're in such a hard place, and they're such great chiropractors. It's just they really never got clarity, and they're very, very clear on subluxation, very clear on their technique, possibly. They just never got clear on you know, what chiropractic is, how to sell it, or market it, or share it with the community, right? And how to do it in a big way, effectively, and have a profit and go forth and serve. No?
Again, in this phase, real quick, this is where you're learning. You need to know how all the office procedures. You need to how to give a talk where people are going to trust you enough to trust sending their family to you. Again, those are things that you should be doing in school. Again, these are all things that you should have already learned in school. You should not be learning these things too late. And in this phase, you're wearing a lot of hats. At this phase, my wife and I were cleaning our office. In this phase, we were doing all the day ones and all the tours. You know, you're doing everything. Now, let's go to the next phase. Once we get past this phase, this is where the next level comes in, where you start becoming a leader. You start delegating. You start getting a team around you, so you start really 10xing your office. You're not cleaning the office anymore. You're not doing all the marketings on weekends. You're starting to enjoy the money that's coming in, and you're able to start giving back to chiropractic. And that's the biggest thing. That's why we come around these stories. We want to raise up chiropractic, so we need healthy chiropractors coming out of school being healthy.
Yeah, there's too many broke chiropractors. And if you really want to take chiropractic critical mass, it takes many practices serving a lot of people. So the communities there's a difference in communities, but also it takes profitable chiropractors, right? Chiropractic needs money in order to push its message forward against, you know, obviously big pharma's pushing against us, you know, society's pushing against us. So we need to rise up as a profession, and that happens at the student level. That happens with students making the decision that they're going to be prepared. They're going to go into that jumpstart phase knowing and having clarity, and since they have clarity and knowledge and know how to present chiropractic effectively, then they can open up a practice that's successful, profitable, and serving a lot of people.
Yeah. This phase is a ton of fun. We want you guys to get to this phase. Unfortunately, most chiropractors don't get to this phase where they really get in their sweet spot.
That's so true.
Yeah. So you see our vision now. We see what we want from you all to do right now, and it needs to start with you guys getting prepared right now. We're going to have some amazing docs come up. First is Dr. Tyler. Dr. Tyler, what town in Ohio?
Waterville.
Waterville, Ohio, and is a true Gonstead practitioner.
Anybody do Gonstead here? Or likes to talk Gonstead? Okay.
One.
So the cool thing is lots of techniques for everything.
Yeah. You're really relatable.
I'm more of a upper cervical Thompson mix. Dr. Brower here is TRT. Anybody see TRT here? Woo! That's some TRT.
Yeah.
Good. So Dr. Tyler has a unique situation because when he graduated, he had a decision whether to open his own practice or actually go back with his dad. His dad is a Gonstead practitioner of over 25 years, a Gonstead diplomat, amazing practice, serving a ton of people.
Yeah.
And so, you know, unique individual where Dr. Tyler went back to his dad, and they share space. But the cool thing is this, is that literally within the year, he's over doubled Dad's practice. And I think now it's probably triple Dad's practice. And they're the largest Gonstead, the largest chiropractic practice in most of the region of Ohio that they're in. I know that, Northern Ohio. So amazing practitioner. Used to be Gonstead Club president at Life University. I want to give a shout out to Dr. Neil Cohen for being here. Thank you, Dr. Neil.
Right on. So that's me. So I'm getting to talk about chiropractic pediatrics today. That little guy was hilarious. I just about pooped when he came in dressed like that one day. Clearly it was Easter, right? But anyway, I'm sure all of us love to take care of kids, or at least envision ourselves when we close our minds and we envision what our practice is going to look like. Probably, I don't know, not everybody, I'm sure, but probably most of you are like, yeah, I picture a lot of kids running around. I want to be taking care of kids, all this kind of stuff. It's kind of a thing that I assume that's what you want to do, so maybe you don't. But if you do, then I think you're going to gain a lot of clarity and confidence kind of out of what we're talking about here. Because what a lot of people, when they get out of school, they're like, yeah, I want to take care of kids, I want to take care of kids. And then you put like a baby in their hands and they're like, what do I do? What do I do? The baby's like screaming his face off. Is it dying? Like, what's wrong with it? But there's a lot of good stuff that we see on a very regular basis. It's very important that chiropractors are set. I'm going to show a couple different conditions, a couple different really frequently seen childhood illnesses, conditions, symptom complexes that we see all the time that you have to be really good about, that you have to be really good at explaining to the parent. Like for if mom and dad brings their kids in, or doesn't bring their kids in, they're like complaining about all these ear infections. How are you going to communicate to that parent that chiropractic is the only drug-free option for that child if you want to get rid of those ear infections? How are you going to be able to explain that to them? So that's going to be some of the stuff that we talk about today. Okay, when somebody brings their kids in to see you, that is the biggest compliment that you can receive, to me. I remember the first time that one individual, this mom, she brought in her teenage daughter, like 16, 17 years old, pretty girl, all this kind of stuff. She used to come in with her daughter to have her be adjusted. And I remember the very first time, and it was early on in practice, when mom and dad didn't come anymore. And to me, that spoke, I trust you so much to be in a closed room, and I do Gonstead, so everybody's gowned, with my 16, 17-year-old daughter in a gown, all this kind of stuff. I really, really, really trust you, kind of thing, right? If I ever have a daughter, it's going to take a lot for me to be able to do that, especially with a guy that is good looking as Brower. So yeah, it's the biggest compliment you can receive when you are when you're allowed not only to take care of someone's child, regardless of their age, whether they're a teenage daughter or a baby. I mean, that's a huge step too. So it's really cool when that happens. This was at a tractor pull competition for kids. They're like riding their little bike tractors, and he wanted me to come and see him. So that's what we did. Cool, because what we're compared to, or if you take a look at what the medical profession has to offer in pediatrics, this particular doctor was quoted by saying that 85% of what we do, medical professionals do, we don't have adequate science to speak about with certainty. And so when they talk about chiropractors, and even chiropractors are digging on chiropractors, being like, there's no evidence for that. There's no evidence for that. How can you say that? We're not alone. We are not alone. I know a lot of chiropractors, I don't know a lot of chiropractors, but I know some chiropractors that work very closely with physical therapists, and they're like, yeah, man, they have no idea what they're doing, just as much as I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm like, really? That's interesting. That's a problem. We should probably address the root cause of that. And so compared to what the medical professionals are doing, when somebody comes in and is like, chiropractic for my child, they don't have back pain, what are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. Is there any evidence for that? We're not alone in that thing. There's this overarching thought that medical doctors, that MD stands for made divine, that everything that they say, is the word of God. And yet everything that we say we have to back up and everything like that. Good news is I'm going to help you to back that up today, so that when you are actually brought with that situation, you'll know what to say and you won't have to think about it. Okay, so 4 reasons. This is where you get your pencils out. This is the meat of it. 4 reasons parents need you to be on your game. There's 4 conditions that are really that we see all the time that you need to have your responses ready. Okay, and let's stop on that for a second. If somebody asks you a question like, "Hey, what's your name?" If you're like, Tyler. They're like, what? You don't know something as core to you as your name. You had to stutter on your name. Like, who are you? Are you lying to me? I don't trust you. You didn't think about your name? We need to know the answers to these questions as well as we know our name, right? because you wouldn't stutter on that. You want someone to be able to trust you. And if they ask you a question and all of a sudden you start looking off, you break eye contact, you're looking away at the walls, you're saying you're like, oh crap, I gotta tap dance out of this one, then they're not going to trust you and they're not going to bring in their child. And that child, maybe you're a really good chiropractor and a poor communicator, that child is going to be the one that suffers because of your poor communicating skills. Capiche? Okay, so these are 4 things that we're going to touch on so that we can make sure we're really good at and really confident and really clear knowing exactly what's going on. So fever, attention and learning difficulties, ear infections, and general things about the birthing process, okay? So fever, this is great. I'm just going to read it. Doctors do great disservice to you and your child when they prescribe drugs to reduce fever. Fever phobia is a disease of pediatricians, not parents. And to the extent that parents are victimized by it, and doctors are at fault. And that was quoted by Dr. Mendelsohn, who is the author of How to Raise Your Kid, a Healthy Kid in Spite of Your Doctor, medical doctor, who believes and knows that fever is a natural thing, that when we were created, that this process called fever, where our hypothalamus changes our body's, thermal regulation and all that kind of stuff to kill the bacteria, that it was put there for a reason, okay? And we need to be able to communicate that to our practice members as well. Because most people come in and they say something along the lines of, well, I hate giving my kids drugs, but I gave them a Tylenol this morning because they had a really bad fever. And I'm like, well, what was the really bad fever? Well, they were running 102, but it just wasn't dropping. Okay. It wasn't dropping. Maybe it hasn't killed it off. Whatever. So 102. What were you afraid of? Well, I was afraid that there'd be like brain damage, or getting dehydrated, or all this kind of stuff. And that makes a lot of sense. I can see how you would understand that. This right here, this particular stat comes from Guyton's Medical Physiology. You probably all have that book. But yeah, as far as when brain damage occurs, you're looking at 106 to 108. That's when the parenchyma, that's how you say that word, Eric. I was looking for Michael. For whatever reason, he always makes fun of me like that. But that's when the cells actually start to become damaged. And so in order to communicate this to our practice members, that's like because how many have heard of somebody with 106, 108 degree fever? A much smaller percentage of your practice members than people are going to experience a 104 degree fever. And so knowing what the actual facts are helps you be more confident. So when they come to you and they say, yeah, I gave my child this, give my child that so we could lower the fever. Listen, I understand that you're trying to be a great parent, and it's hard to see your child go through this discomfort, but their body's doing exactly what it needs to do right now, and you're not in any kind of danger whatsoever until you get this sort of range, okay? So that's really important to understand. As far as what are we going to do about it, we have one Gonstead person in here. So talking about the calorific zone, okay, according to Guyton and according to Gonstead's textbook, going from T1 to T4 is called this calorific zone. Not only is that the region that sympathetic innervation is going out to the thymus in the child and also the thalamus in the adult, but also that stellate ganglion, that one that's like at C6, C7, stellate ganglion that goes all the way up, it goes directly into the thalamus and into the hypothalamus. And so when we're talking about the actual thermostat of the body housed in the hypothalamus, supplying a chiropractic adjustment, stimulation, okay, to that area of the spine, it's called this calorific zone. That's what Dr. Gonstead called it before they even knew exactly what the science was behind it, because he witnessed that when you adjust that particular area, it doesn't kill the fever, but it brings it down to make the baby a little bit more comfortable. Brings it down to 100 degrees or 99 degrees or something like that, because you don't want to kill the fever, and that's a really important thing to be able to communicate to the parent. We're going to adjust this child. We're going to bring the fever down, but we're not going to kill the fever, because believe it or not, fever is a really good thing. Fever is going to help this baby get through this challenge as quickly as possible. And if you kill the fear and not kill the fever, that's going to go miles and miles and miles with that particular parent. Okay. This, by the way, this presentation I've been giving once a quarter to my team in the office, because when people ask questions, they ask questions of me, yes, but they also ask questions of my team. And how impressed would you be if you asked the front desk lady at your office all this kind of whatever, hey, dealing with this fever and everything like that. Well, did you know that brain damage doesn't occur? The parenchyma of the cells actually isn't damaged until you reach closer to 106 degrees. If the front desk lady says that, that's a pretty cool thing, to give them the clarity and the confidence as well. Okay, and this is the next condition. So fever is a really common thing to be able to see in the office. Second thing are attention deficit, that sort of thing, learning disorders. My wife works in the schools and special education, so this particular topic is near and dear to my heart. I mean, you guys can read basically the increase in ADH diagnosis and then medication has increased respectively 42% in the diagnosis and 28% in the medication in the what? This data is even from 2012. So I'm sure it's even risen in the past 2 years. So it's risen far faster in the past decade than it has in over time. Epidemiologically, that shouldn't even be possible. We must have an epidemic of ADHD that's just all of a sudden blossoming out of nowhere. That shouldn't be happening. There must be a different source of that, and that's from the CDC. There is a relationship, and this is from another medical doctor. There's a relationship between the development of the vestibular system deep within. That's the part of the chiropractic portion that we're going to be affecting, and balance and muscle tone. And so when when children are developing, and this balance and this muscle tone are developing, we all know that balance has a big connection. All parents know this too, that you get your balance from your ears, right? And so when they're not balanced properly, when neurologically, even neurologically, if you're looking at TRT stuff, looking at leg length differences and not being able to adapt to the environment properly, their ears are going to be affected. And it's that old, not old, but that notion of viscerosomatic reactions as well as somatovisceral reactions, about how you can have stomach cancer that can cause a subluxation at that spinal level, but you can also have a spinal subluxation that can cause dysfunction out of that organ. It goes both directions. So if you have improper vestibular development and you have improper balance and improper growth and improper tummy time and all this kind of stuff, that's going to go straight to the ears, and that's going to affect their ability to process auditorily. Okay, this is where my wife, she's a speech pathologist, and this is where she works. A whole lot of what she does is focused on this exact thing, because there's a lot of kids out there that, whether it is a conductive hearing loss, whether it is a vestibular hearing loss, that's just something that's causing them to be delayed. They can hear everything fine, they're just not processing it correctly. You tell them, yeah, the cat rode the bus, on Wednesday. Repeat that to me, and they're like, the bus on Wednesday was on top of the cat. It gets all jumbled in their head. They don't understand why. That's the whole chiropractic portion of what we can do for these individuals. This particular study, any studies that I've taken out are from the premier chiropractic journal, subluxation-based chiropractic journal. Dr. Matthew McCoy is the editor of this. I suggest that you become a member of this particular journal. It's the Journal of Maternal, Family, Pediatric Chiropractic, I believe. But it's a great resource if you're looking for research. People always, come into the office. Do you have any research studies on this? Well, as a matter of fact, I do. We have these stockpiles so that we can always show them the information that's backing up what we're saying. This particular study focused on the Pierce chiropractic technique and reducing vertebral subluxation. Okay, Pierce is as straight as it gets, right? And so just reducing vertebral subluxation and making sure that you can and making sure that you document the effects on all of these different conditions like attention deficit disorder and scoliosis. And so this is a particular study that I throw out quite often whenever talking about ADHD. Okay, I think I'm doing okay on time. So we're about halfway through the conditions. So the third one I want to talk about is ear infections. Everybody wants to talk about ear infections. Every kid is coming in with ear infections, and they think you're a miracle worker when you adjust them, and then they don't have ear infections anymore. It's a great practice builder, I have found. If you guys, I don't know, how many people are in first through fourth quarter right now? Okay, cool. And then fourth through eighth. Okay, pretty even there, and then eighth to the end. Wow, it's like third, that's pretty cool. Okay, so you're probably familiar, I imagine, at this point in time, you've taken all your anatomy courses with the actual position of the eustachian tube in an adult versus a child, right? Even when you're at Life, we had to do all these exams and stuff like that, and so we learn how to look in kids' ears, and so that's that. But even when you're examining a child, you pull in a different direction on the ear, right? Because you're trying to pull even with a more horizontal eustachian tube as opposed to a more slanted eustachian tube. Now, I live out in the country. Does anybody live out in a rural area? other than here. That guy has a camo hat on. I can tell he lives out in the country. So you look like my neighbor, I swear. Yeah. Do you sell septic systems? No? Okay. I thought you were Cody for a second. So anyway, out in the country, you get to see a lot of farmers and talk to a lot of farmers. And so this is how I explain it to them. Even if they're not farmers, they get this because we're all surrounded by nothing but cornfields. And so you got a cornfield, and you get like 8 inches of rain one day. If the field is completely level, completely flat, what happens? You start to get pools of water, right? Pools of water. Is that good or bad for the field? Good or bad for the crops? Well, that's bad. There you go. That's bad. And so even if you're not farming anything like that, if you have a pool of water and that pool of water stays stagnant for a long enough period of time, what starts to develop? Like algae, bacteria, mosquitoes, nasty stuff, right? Okay. Same exact thing is happening to your child right now. That's why they're having recurrent ear infections, because they have a completely flat eustachian tube, and fluid has gotten back into that area, and it hasn't been able to drain. It's become a stagnant pool, and you're starting to get mosquito beds, that are growing in there. You're starting to get bacteria. It's a perfect place for bacteria to grow. Now, if your field was like that, if your field, is completely flat, and you had these pools and everything like that, you could do 2 things in order to kill all of those bacteria. You could spray, all these pesticides all over it. You could spray all sorts of chemicals all over it to kill all that bacteria, right? That would make sense. You could even go out there with like a pump of some sort and go into all those puddles, and you could pump all of that water out and truck it out. Those are 2 things. But the next time it rains, what happens? The same exact thing happens, right? You got the same exact problem. And at this point in time, they're like, yeah, I know, because they're a farmer, and they're like, I hate that. What's the root cause of that? We got bad drainage, right? So what do? Well, you put in new drain tile, you put in a new irrigation system, a new ditch, a new deck, whatever you're going to do in order for that field to drain properly from that point on. Now we start talking about chiropractic. There's a bone at the very top of the spine called the atlas vertebrae, and I've dissected a human frame before, so I've seen with my own eyes that this atlas vertebrae is 1 millimeter at most away from this eustachian tube. Okay? If you have this atlas misaligned just a millimeter, okay, causes that eustachian tube to go from just barely draining to completely flat and stagnant. Makes sense that if we could just take the pressure off of that, make the eustachian tube do what it was going to do anyway, okay, not doing anything that's rocket science, just do what it was going to do anyway, do what it was designed for, and that way we can correct the root cause of those ear infections once and for all. And so if you can explain that, it makes a lot of sense. And if you can do it with a model so they can actually see it, then all of a sudden every kid in that parent's kid's class that is also getting ear infections all of a sudden starts coming in. It's like, yeah, well, Nancy told me that you helped her child with ear infections and so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. That one thing, and then all of a sudden you take care of all their families. It's a really great practice builder, and it's so simple what we do. It's not actually, it's barely even neurological in its nature. It's kind of biomechanical just by the way those structures are. Okay, and then of course the studies that back that up. There's tons of ear infection studies out there because it happens all the time. It's really easy. Versus, and this is a great thing to do, you don't always want to bring fear to people, but it is good to make sure that you show them what their other options are. And again, my wife, a speech language pathologist, telling people all the time, before you get these, the ear tube surgery, it is a surgery, and it does, even though it's it's a minor thing, it does scar that tympanic membrane, and can cause what's called tympanosclerosis, which is the hardening of that eardrum, which causes hearing loss. You don't get that back, conductive hearing loss, when you get scar tissue built up, and of course the learning disabilities that coincide with that. Even if there's nothing wrong with their brain, even if they're super smart, if you're doing stuff like this all day and you're having to concentrate so hard that you can't actually understand the information, some of you maybe have been in that hole before yourselves. It's really hard to grow up like that. Why would you do that to your child if you knew that there were other options before you got to that point? Side effects of the atlas adjustment, right? That's not funny. Yeah. No, there aren't any, right? Okay. Next problem. And so, the birthing process. So this is the last one we're going to talk about. This is my shameless plug. Man, who are the authors of this? Dr. John Schwanz and Tyler Schwanz? That's pretty cool. But no, the female infertility and was a really cool thing. Probably a third of our practice is women with menstrual issues or fertility issues. 1/3. It's just kind of the population that we attract, and they refer into the communities that they know. And so that's just one issue that you can help with chiropractic. And if you follow a system, whether it's TRT or Gonstead or Thompson or Pierce, whatever you do, if you follow that to the T, I'm sure there are protocols that you employ to make sure that these individuals are making progress. You know, I always tell people that it takes me about 3 months to get that menstrual cycle stabilized. So maybe they were going 40 days between a cycle. Maybe they were going 20 days and just having cycles all the time. It takes about 3 months to get it back to that 28-day, 29-day cycle, and then after that, you guys really start, doing your job, and then we can make this kid in about 9 months after that. So because people, that's the other thing. You want people going around telling other people, yeah, my chiropractor helped me get pregnant. My chiropractor got me pregnant. Oh yeah. So just real quickly, I want to share one story just because I got 2 minutes. My sister-in-law, Caitlin, just had her baby yesterday, and so haven't gotten a lot of sleep yet. We heard about like midnight, and my wife was 3 hours. They live 3 hours away in Cincinnati, and she was on the road. She was there by 3:15. The baby was born by 3:30, and so it was just like 3.5 hours of labor, really quick. Amazing thing. You want to have these kinds of stories in your practice. So my sister called me, and she's like, "This baby can come any day. I'm really nervous. My midwife says that it's a transverse lie, and they wanted to have the baby at home. And the midwife's like, this is going to be hard. We'll do it, but it's going to be really hard." And she said, "Can you come down?" She's been under chiropractic care. She has been. I'm sure it's been good. But she wanted me to come down, her brother, and come down. And so I did what we do, and you probably have seen Webster's and stuff like that. And so did that, and she said that was way different than what my normal chiropractor did. And the point of that is not to build me up or to push that person down, you understand? But if you know what you're talking about and you know what you're doing and you know that you know, then I'm like, sure, absolutely. You asked me, I'm there. We did it. And use the same verbiage that they teach you when you're learning Webster's. You're going to feel an earthquake in your stomach tonight, right? And sure enough, that night she did. She said, I'm feeling kicks in places that I never felt kicks before. And that was like 5 days ago. And baby went head down. And so I was just excited when we were making this because it just happened. Her baby was just born last night, or yesterday, whatever, in the middle of the night. And so a very cool thing. His name is Henry Otis. Kind of cool, right? But yeah, the ability to communicate. Because my sister gets it because, she's been around it long enough with me just always talking about it. We joke, Kelsey's like, can we just have a dinner where we don't talk about chiropractic for once? And it's like, it always comes up. I'm like, I don't try and bring it up. They bring it up. I just go with it. But if you're able to communicate it effectively, it's going to affect the life of that child. It could even save the life of that child, honestly. Another one of people that we know participated in this study, Dr. Josh Steinke. His child was born with something called transient tachypnea of newborn. So it was, wasn't breathing properly right at the birth. After the adjustment, if you look up this study and read this study over the next hour, the baby breathing normalized and things like that, and they're not used to seeing that result in transient tachypnea of the newborn. So that's a really cool study to check out as well. But yeah, the birthing process is a cool thing to understand. I know I'm probably out of time right now. We do a coloring contest in the summer by age, so we got 0 to 5-year-old categories, which are pretty good. Younger than 5-year-old, they need some work. Okay, that's not the best. That's not the best artwork I've ever seen. He did not stay in the lines. I feel like he kind of phoned that one in. But he is, 3 after all. You get to see some of these kids. This girl says she wants to be an artist so she can paint her dreams. Kids are just cute. The stuff that they say, it's like, I can't believe you just said that. I want to paint my dreams. And then this next girl that I'm going to show you, I just get really teared up just because she's so awesome. She's referred in like 15 people. She is 9. She's 10 now. She wants to be a chiropractor and do the Gonstead method. And I just thought that was so cute. I bought her a spine a couple of weeks ago because she's always asking questions, and so we got her like a legit spine. And she cried when I gave it to her, and I took it home. She tells me about it all the time. And I tell her to wrap it up in a towel and try and find all the spinuses, and she does it. Yeah, you can really affect the lives of these kids if you do that. Yeah, just a family. So you probably you want this. Trust me, you want this. It's really cool. It's really rewarding. Thanks for listening to me today. Hopefully you found some value.
So that's awesome. So nothing better. I like that. You want this. That is so true, man. So that's great. Great story. All right. So our next speaker up is a solo female doc from South Carolina. Dr. Jessica Harden is, I don't know if anybody does piercing here, pierce technique? She is exclusively a pierce technique here and has one of how many certified in the world?
50.
One of 50 in the world certified pierce. And if you know anything about video fluoroscopy, it's very intense, very specific, very scientific, awesome stuff. And she's in Fort Mill, South Carolina, about an hour from here?
Yeah, about hour here.
Awesome. Has amazing practice, been out about 2 years, seeing a lot of people, and we're excited to hear you take time. Thanks,
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. So one of the reasons you guys are probably here is because you kind of want to learn, right? You want to learn how to run a practice, right? You want to learn how to do this, how to make money, how to serve your community, right? Well, you can't run a practice if you don't make money. Let's just be honest, right? So basically, I've kind of titled this appropriately, prepare for payment, all right? Now, here's the cool thing. It's kind of been alluded to this evening is that you can start preparing for this now. You don't have to wait till you graduate. You don't have to wait till your doors are open to try to figure out how am I going to sit down with a practice member and tell them to pay me $1,500 to $2,500 for their care, right? Who can actually sit down with anybody and say, hey, can you give me $1,500, $2,500 for me to take care of you? Who can actually do that right now? I know you can. We talked about that. You did it in my office the other week. But so that's kind of the reason why is we want to help empower you guys so that you guys can run these businesses effectively and then give back to your communities because that is the whole point. Okay? So if you're going to prepare for payment, there are two things that you got to understand. And this sounds so simple. The first thing you have to learn is how to value your own care. Okay? If you don't value your own care, how can you possibly ask someone to value it too? Okay? So you got to get this in your head. And this is the kind of two scenarios I'm talking about. You know, for instance, if you as a student, you know, we're used to living on shoestring budgets, right? We're not used to spending a whole lot of money. We're used to penny pinching. And if you think in your head, man, if someone asked me to pay that much for my chiropractic care, I wouldn't do it. If you have that thought in your head, you need to get rid of it, okay? Because honestly, that is the value of your care, okay? I'm going to give you an example. If you have any thoughts like that in your head, I'm going to show you this picture, okay? Okay, so a little bit of story. So a couple weeks ago, I had a practice member come to my office. He'd been in an auto accident, and he explained to me that he was seeing another chiropractor, not to put this chiropractor down. The guy said, I'm not getting any results. And he said, I saw your ad in the paper, so here I am. I said, okay. Well, I explained to him everything that we did from start to finish, and he was very impressed and wanted to get started. So I spoke to his attorney. I said, hi, out of curiosity, I just want to know what the other chiropractor was doing so that when I do my analysis, I can understand what's going on in his spine a little bit better. Okay? Well, I got a packet of paperwork, and this statement happened to be in his paperwork. Now, you know, for some of you back there, you may just see lines of information. I'm going to give you, tell you what's on here. This, every line is a service that was rendered to this patient, okay? This is over the course of 5 visits. All right, now, hit the next one, Caitlin.
$20 for biofreeze?
Oh, no, I didn't do it. Okay, look at the cost. $1,080 over 5 visits. No wonder there are people in the community that think that chiropractic's expensive. Okay? No wonder. Okay? I mean, Grant said it best when I showed him this figure. He was in my office the other week, and he said, I could save a kid with this money. Because it's true. I mean, talk about affordability. I mean, I think that's robbing people, in my opinion. So that's why it is so important for you to value the care and understand that your care is not expensive. If you are doing principled chiropractic, your care will not be expensive, okay? But it will be valuable, okay? Here's the other thing. I mentioned affordable. Always keep in your memory that affordable is not cheap, okay? And I'm kind of speaking from personal experience. When I first opened my office, you know, you connect with these practice members, and they break your heart with some of the stories that they have. And, you know, one of the big mistakes that I made when I first opened my doors was I kind of gave away a lot of care, okay? Now, how many of you really have a heart for the people that are hurting out there? Yeah, it should be every single one of you, okay? And I'm telling you, some of these stories will break your heart, and you're going to just want to it's okay. You don't have to pay. Or you can pay this much, or do whatever you can. You're going to help these people, believe it or not. But you can't just give away care because you have to keep your doors open. You have to keep you have to pay your overhead. Otherwise, you're going to go under, right? So one of the suggestions I'm going to make, and this is kind of finally what I had to reel myself in, is kind of how to cap it. Kind of had a number of people that I actually could give hardships to or kind of help them with their care. Now, to kind of show you what that number looks like, I kind of came up with this math overall. Okay, I call it my hardship math. Okay, so what goes on is, okay, you determine what your overhead is going to be for that month, and determine what your visit number is going to be for that month. Okay, take your overhead divided by your number of visits. So here I have a number on the screen, 5,000 for overhead. These are hypothetical numbers, not actually. And then, of course, 500 visits that month. Okay, so I cannot have a practice member pay less than $10 and still cover my overhead. Okay, so this is a good number to kind of keep in check. If you're that personality where you just want to give, and give, and you're afraid that you might just give too much, use this figure to help keep you in check. Okay, and that's going to give you a good baseline. Now, I have this written in blue. I don't know if it can be seen. This number may change if you're utilizing payment plans, okay? I'm going to talk about care plans a little bit as well later on, but kind of keep that in the back of your head, okay? Second bullet point, family. Family's great. You know, there's nothing wrong with giving away care to your family, but just keep in mind that your time is valuable. My family is a full supporter of what I do. In fact, some of my success is contributed to the support I've had from my family. But every single one of my family members contributes to my office in some way. I have my mother-in-law comes and paints the windows on my office door, and she hands out my comp eval cards to everybody in the community. My dad handles some of my IT work. And I actually have 2 family members that actually do pay for their care because they understand that I'm running a business, okay? I'm not saying you should or shouldn't make them pay. I'm just saying you got to keep in the back of your mind. If you're moving your family again, have them contribute to their office and become a part of your mission, and that's going to be huge for helping you get on your feet. All right, so I said you must value your care. The practice member has to value your care, and we're going to talk about how to build that value as well, too. And the truth be told, it starts from the moment they walk into your office, okay? Now, I just mentioned 2 things that sound so simple. I'm just simply talking about value, but there is a lot that goes into building that value, okay? So when it comes time for you to sit down with them and ask them for paying dishing out $1 grand or 2 for their care, it'll be a cakewalk, okay? And it all has to do with where the value is. Now, sometimes it may not start out face-to-face. Maybe it starts out with a phone call. That phone call is so crucial. When they call their office, your office, does it sound something like, hey, you've reached Providence Chiropractic. How may I help you? Or does it sound like, Providence Chiropractic, Dr. Jessica speaking, how may I help you? You know, which does it sound like? Speaking of the first call, I'm kind of a little bit mean. I actually started recording my phone calls at one night. I just hired a new team, and I actually had my team sit down and listen to their calls. One of the things I tried to encourage them, I said, listen to this phone call, tell me what you did right. She didn't tell me what she did right. She flipped out and said, oh my gosh, I sound like I have a mouthful of marbles. She like flipped out. I was like, no, it's okay, it's okay. What else do you notice? I was trying to encourage her, and she goes, I sound dead. I sound tired. This is horrible. I had no idea I sounded like this on the phone. I said, okay, well, how can we solve this? She goes, I don't know. Like, I just don't know how. And there's tricks like, you know, smiling on the phone and things like that. But I noticed that wasn't going to quite cut it with her. She's a little bit younger. So, and this is how creative you sometimes have to get with practice. In your practice, I said, curiosity, what gets you excited? And there was a pause, and she said, you're going to laugh at me. I said, why? She says, because it's kittens. and I chuckled a little bit. I said, okay, so here's the deal. Every time that phone rings, that is a new owner with a kitten. They're trying to find a home, and when you answer the phone, it is your job to tell them this is the best home for it, and they shouldn't look anywhere else. I haven't had a problem since. So sometimes you got to be a little creative like that to build that energy level because people are attracted to it. So next, the greeting. When someone walks into your office, again, are they being greeted with welcome, open arms, or are they just kind of walking up to a counter and watching that sliding glass door open, okay? Does that team member look surprised when they walked in the door, or are they ready and prepared to accept that practice member into the office, okay? It makes a huge difference. When you feel welcome in an environment, it starts building that rapport, building that relationship, building that trust. Sounds so simple, but it's huge, okay? Can't tell you how many practice members have told me repeatedly, I've been in so many different healthcare offices, and this is the first time I feel like family. Shouldn't that be the case everywhere? Should. So the tour. I love the tour. In fact, you're actually going to see an example of some of these procedural things later. The tour is vital because that's your chance to show them what it is you do and why you're different, okay? That's going to bring value to why they should see you versus anybody else. And not just another chiropractor, any other healthcare professional, okay? That's how you establish what your mission is and how you're going to help them. Day one goes in a little bit more detail. Now you're talking chiropractic 101 with them and explaining how chiropractic specifically helps what they're seeing you for, okay? And then the principal doctor's report. I have a lot of asterisks here because I will tell you this is the most important thing for you to master to build value in your office. The most important thing. I gave my first doctor's report when I was in 10th quarter at a church. I was scared to death, but I gave it, okay? And I'll tell you one thing, and I actually got practice members in my clinic from doing that. And I'm glad I stepped out of my comfort zone because when I opened my doors, the first doctor's report I gave, I had so many things going on in the background. I had computers failing, I had my tech guy late. I mean, everything was going wrong. But at least I knew my report, and I could just give it at that moment. And that's how practice is. You got a lot of things going on in the background, and at that moment, you just had to be present and do what you and say what you got to say. Okay. Now here's the thing: if all of these first things are done right, when it comes time for that financial close, it is just that easy. Okay. Honestly, your financial close shouldn't last more than 5 or 10 minutes, and that's how easy it is. And that's all you're discussing for finances. I'll give a story one time. So my husband works with me, and we've been in different phases in the office. He started out part-time, moved to full-time, and now he's part-time again. And I won't forget, he went in for a financial close, and he was in there for 35 minutes. I was flipping out of my office. I'm like pacing back and forth. What the heck is he doing right now? Like, what are they talking about? Fishing? I don't know. As you know, my husband knows that. But in all honesty, I found out that that practice member was drilling him in that room. Every single question she can think of. She saw one of our ads. She asked about our equipment. She asked, oh, what was it she asked? She said, well, curiosity, what's the recall on this kind of equipment? Like, she was asking questions like that. My friend saw the exact same ad in Florida. What's that about? I mean, literally drilling him to pieces. But he was so prepared. He answered every single one of her questions. By the time she left that night, she thanked us. She goes, I came in here tonight expecting to find something wrong. I expected to find a hole. I expected to find some system flaw that would tell me to go and walk out the door. Every single one of my friends told me not to come here. And she paid in full. So it's really, really powerful what you can do if you're prepared and if you build the value in your office. So the main point, value must be there hands down, and value is literally the difference between someone paying in full for their care or paying by visit. There's nothing wrong with paying by visit, but I'll be honest with you, it'll slow you down, and the most important thing is paying by visit has their mindset on the visit and not the care in general. I'm going to explain that a little bit more in just a second. Next one. I get asked this a lot. Next one, you know, can you have a cash practice and do insurance? If you're doing more than 70–80% cash, I say yes. There are a lot of docs that utilize insurance. Just because you take insurance doesn't mean you have mainly a cash practice. Okay. So the big question is, you know, whether to take it or not. The next one. But if you're choosing to take it or not, make sure that you understand exactly why, that you're not forced into one situation or another, that you're not taking insurance just because everybody else is, or you're not taking it because you don't know what you're doing with it, okay? So when you determine where you're going to be practicing out, look at the demographics. Is it a high insurance area? Maybe you want to take it, maybe you don't. You know, weigh the pros and cons. You know, yeah, if you're in network, someone may be more eager to walk through your door, but do you want to do all the background paperwork? You know, so weigh those out and determine what's going to fit you. And then once you determine what direction you want to go, come up with a tactical plan and develop the procedures that are going to help you effectively implement. So if someone says, well, you don't take my insurance, I don't want to do care, you better have a good explanation as to why they should still have the care in your office. That comes from building value. On the flip side, if you're going to use insurance, make sure you have a strategic way to explain how you're utilizing their benefits and giving them the care that they need. Okay? It's really that simple. All right, so I mentioned care plans. What's great about care plans is, you know, it gets them to stop thinking about payment by the visit itself and look at the overall game plan, right? Because we all know in a couple of visits, they may or may not see changes. It's not a couple of visits that make the difference. It's the entirety of the care plan. Sometimes I talk to my practice members that still aren't getting it, and I say, look, this is not a symptom care plan. This is a corrective care plan. I'll be honest with you, if you didn't get results in 12 months, I'd be out of business, right? This is a corrective care plan. There is a difference, and we talked about that in the report, Mrs. Jones. To give you a couple examples of what those sort of look like, I have a couple different scenarios. So this is a standard sheet we use. This is an insurance plan. I just picked out these numbers to make them super easy, so don't pay as much attention to the numbers as in what this looks like. Because remember, we're not going to have a lot of time to go into detail. We just want to introduce that this is a possible and a effective system. So 40 visits over 12 months. Go to the next page. Now, that practice member saw that front page. This back page is for us, okay? So look in here. Let's say they had phenomenal insurance. All their care will be covered by it. So we got the 40 visits. What are their copays? Let's say it's $25. There's $1,000. Their copay is going to include their exams, so that's $0. So we give two options for people to pay for care in their office. Okay, they can choose a prepay option where we'll take off 10%. That dropped it to $900, or they can do payment plan, and that's where you take that $1,000 and divide it by 12 months, and that's where you got the $83.33. Okay, ideal scenario. The next one. This is an example of a cash plan. Okay. So here Mrs. Jones comes in. She doesn't have insurance, or maybe her insurance benefits are horrible. And so you have the 40 visits over 12 months. Okay, go to the second page. So this price range, the 40 visits times the 30, 1,200 going through. And again, taking the 10% off. Now you're going to notice something else too. As you may know, for those of you that may be looking into taking insurance, it is illegal to charge a different price for insurance patients than it is for someone who doesn't take insurance, unless there is a legal sort of grouping that says they're allowed that discount. That's what you saw that CLA for, okay? So there is a membership fee for that, so that's included in the care plan. You die in 12-month payment, and so that same procedure is all the way through. So what does it look like if someone has insurance benefits but it won't cover the whole care plan? Well, 40 visits, 12 months, and go to the next one. So let's say they're only allowed 20 visits. 20 visits at $25 copay, so there's the $500. Obviously, their first exam would be included in that. Got another 20 visits under the discount program, which is the CLA I was talking about. So there's 600 to reassessments, 200. Add the whole thing together. Again, subtract the 10% or divide it by 12 payments, and then you get the total there. So the process is really easy. On the back of the sheet, you're literally just listing out what those service and costs are going to be, and then you break it down into either the 12 payments or pay in full. And that's what they see on the sheet. So that's what I appreciate. So anyway, the takeaway messages I want you guys to take away this evening is, one, you have to create value for your care. First, you have to have the value, and then you've got to create the value for that practice member. The other thing is the fact that you need to decide whether you're going to take insurance or not. There are a lot of successful offices that take insurance, so start picking their brain on how they perceive and go through those details and use it effectively. And then, of course, care plans. Care plans are so great because it puts value on the care as a whole, on that process of healing, instead of, is each visit worth me paying for? Am I really getting the perfect result every visit, if that makes sense? So anyway, thanks, guys.
That was awesome. Yeah, one of the worst things is like chiropractor gets somebody out of pain. They're like, you're all done. Come back when you need it. Because it's chiropractic about pain? Absolutely not, right? So they're judging your health on how they feel, and that's not how we judge your health. How do we get to care plans? Well, there's a whole steps that clinical experience, technique, there's all sorts of different things. Whether you take x-rays or nerve assessments, look at somebody's history, look at somebody's daily habits, do they work out daily, what are their jobs, et cetera, et cetera. So that was awesome. You've got to build value in order to see kids. And another way to build value is what we're going to be speaking on next with Dr. Cornish. Dr. Zeus is going to be speaking on communicating chiropractic. And if we want to help people, we need to learn how to communicate chiropractic. This guy was an amazing athlete, professional football player. I actually played flag football against him. I schooled him. It was pretty easy. It was a humbling experience. He's an awesome guy, an amazingly hard worker. What time do you get up every morning? 5. Goes to the gym. He has a nice, beautiful, huge family. Beautiful wife who's also in practice with him, who was not in the beginning, but they got back on the same accord, and then they're driving forward together. They just opened their second practice. They're getting docs working underneath them. They're just doing amazing things right now. You guys need to jump onto what he's doing and listen to what he's saying.
like Dr. Eric said, I practice in Dallas, Texas. We have 2 practices, one in DeSoto, one in Dallas. And I'm just going to put this disclaimer out here. I'm currently looking for an associate to run our Dallas practice using these same systems and procedures. So I'm just throwing that out there. Whatever. Everything's bigger in Texas. So yeah, I didn't do what you guys did when I was in school, even though I hung out with all of these amazing doctors, right? They would invite me to things, and some of you guys heard this before, and I wouldn't go. Like, so on Friday night, you guys been to Atlanta, right? It's a big party city. I don't care what your nationality, what your race, you can find a party, you know? If you like Molly's and all that stuff, you can find that too. But some of y'all don't know what Molly's are. It's supposed to be funny. But I would go out on a Friday night, or my wife, sometimes never on a Friday night, I would like play video games, but I still play video games like sometimes now. I don't have time much, but I like to play NBA 2K and some Madden, right? But I would go out on a Friday and hang out, or I would be studying. A lot of times I would really be studying. I did more studying than going out. But Dr. Tyler he said that, had that word up there, parenchyma or whatever. I don't even know how to pronounce it. I haven't seen it since school, so I was studying all of the stuff that you need to pass boards, but I don't use it every day. Like Dr. Michael said, we just slay subluxations all day long. So, I wasted a lot of time. So some of your friends right now might be studying, and they're going to pass the test. If you want to get a 99, then and suffer in practice, that's on you. But I'd rather just pass the class. Yeah, you want to get good grades and stuff, but I'd rather be here learning so I can be successful when I get into practice. So I didn't do what my friends did. I wasn't lazy. I was doing something. I wasn't just sitting around, but I was studying all of these books and all of these notes, and I was unprepared when it was time to graduate. So 6 months to graduation, I had the money. My family told me they was going to give me the money. When I first told them, hey, I found something that I know I can do better than come off the hash mark and tackle somebody, because I played football really, really well. I found something that I knew I can do. They said, how much it's going to cost? And Dr. Hesh, remember this, I told them it was going to cost $100 grand. It didn't cost nowhere near $100 grand, but they had $100 grand for me, literally. When they got time for me to do my thing, they just wrote me a check. It wasn't $100 grand because I didn't need $100 grand, but what you said? You said something about we sold drugs? No, we didn't. No, we didn't. Don't believe the hype. There's silver spoon black people. I wasn't one of them.
You can laugh. It's okay. You can laugh.
Yeah. So I didn't do what I was supposed to do. So 6 months before graduation, I signed a contract to go to this company, which is a good company. These guys are doing anything, but it wasn't for me. So I signed this contract. It's $300,000 to buy this practice back, and every month they got 50% of my income. Once I paid the overhead, they got 50%. And I went out there, I moved to Colorado, and a lot of you guys really like Colorado. I don't like it. It's too cold for me. I can go and visit for a 3-day conference, maybe stay 4 days so my little daughters can get a chance to play in the snow, but then I'm going back to Texas. I'm getting out. It's too cold for me. I didn't like it. I was miserable. My wife was miserable. And we went out here, signed this contract, and man, we got punished. We got punished because it cost me about $25,000 of my own money to get out of this contract. But I got out of it, moved to Texas, and we were excited. We were so unprepared that we got in this big, beautiful shopping center. We signed a $4,500 lease that I can't wait till next year till it's over so I can get the hell out of it. And we were just excited. And we opened up our doors. The weekend before we opened up, we did one screening. We signed up 21 people. They all spoke Spanish, and I don't speak any Spanish. Now I do. I'm like 25% speak because I got team members that's Hispanic. Now I can speak some. But at that time, we signed up 21 people that spoke Spanish. So when they came in, they couldn't understand nothing I said. So the first week, I had 3 practice members that converted to care, and I started off my first week seeing 9 a week. It's awesome, right? Anybody say, yeah, I'm going to beat the pulp out of you. That's what happened to us our first week. So we were just failing in practice. We were just failing. We couldn't communicate chiropractic, whether it be Hispanic or English, we couldn't communicate. We couldn't communicate. And, you know, today, I got family in town. I'm going back home tomorrow. I got family in town. Last night, they all came in town. I got like 21 family members at my house right now celebrating my birthday, and I'm not there. And that's funny, but I'd be damned if I miss an opportunity to talk to you guys about bettering yourself. Because it's not about me, and we're going to have a good time when I get back, right? But it's an opportunity for you guys so you don't go through what I went through, the struggle, all right? And I always tell people, man, our phones, we had iPhones. Me and my wife, they got cut off. We had $191 in our bank account in a negative. And we needed gas that night to get home from our practice, and we stayed 30 minutes away. Looked in the petty cash, there was $40. It was $40, and we used that $40, and the next day we had a screening. We had a screening that next day for the weekend. It was called a Kwanzaa Fest. It's one of my best events every year. The lady gave us the boot because literally on the phone I told her I have no money, but can you just bless me? And she stayed on the phone and prayed for me for 20 minutes, gave me this boot at the Kwanzaa Fest. Called Michael. Dude, big screening this weekend. I didn't tell him what I was going through at the time. He told me how to communicate it. Dr. Dean had worked. I had this amazing doctor in Atlanta. He worked with me the weekend before at a conference. Told me how to screen. Went to that screening, signed up 39 people that weekend in our practice, never looked back since. But if we'd have been in the seats like you guys are right now, our office would have never looked like this the first week. I had to get rid of all of that stuff in there because it reminds me of being broke and busted and disgusted. It doesn't look like that anymore. The colors are the same. Doesn't look like Jason's been in our practice a bunch of times, right? So I wouldn't miss an opportunity to come and talk to y'all no matter if it's my birthday weekend, if I had 20, 40, 50 family members, because I want your office to look like that. I didn't look like that. Well, I finally started accepting the invitation to my buddies. Dude, you want to go here? You want to go there? You want to get some apps? Inside joke, right? If you was at Atlanta a couple weekends ago. So we started effectively learning how to communicate chiropractic. So, you know, a lot of times people say, I'm not like an audio learner, right? When these guys say things when we're chilling and hanging out. I'm not funny. So when they say things, I have to write it down. I'm like one of these people got to write it down. I can't just hear you say it and repeat it, right? So I have to practice these things. I have to get around these people, surround myself with some giants, right? Dr. Hess, you know, and Dr. Michael. I always call these dudes like LeBron James and Kevin Durant. You know, that's what they remind me of in the arena of chiropractic. They're doing amazing things. You got the best in the world, right? So, and then I get with these guys and I start learning how to communicate chiropractic. So if you think I'm here this weekend to like promote anything with them, I'm a client, a paying client. My associates are clients. My team, we're clients. So I get on these modules, right? And I was just sharing with Dr. Tyler that when they say something, I pause and I type, and I pause and I type, and I pause and I type, and then that takes me about 4 or 5 hours. I am not kidding. It takes me about 4 or 5 hours to learn this stuff because I wasn't in the seats like you guys right now. So I'm behind the 8 ball, big time, big time. Big time. Big time, I was behind the 8 ball. So I learned this stuff, and I call and text, and I hang out with all of these smart, amazing people, and I'm not a bull crapper. I'm straight up. These people are smart and amazing, and I learned how to communicate chiropractic. I can look someone in the eyes now and say, you know, Mrs. Jones, you have nerve interference. And when that happens because the bones come out of alignment. And when the bones come out of alignment, it puts pressure on the nerve. That creates irritation and inflammation of those nerves. That leads to the aches, pains, and dysfunctions that you experience today. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to take some x-rays of your neck and your back. And you don't have insurance. And that's all right, because in our office, we have something called a federal discount program, and it's amazing. It's normally about $340 for those x-rays, and today, because you do qualify for the federal discount program, it's going to be $150. How you want to take care of that? Credit, cash, check? Yeah. Great. I'll take that from you. So now our office looks like this. So it sounds funny. It sounds like I'm being funny, but I'm absolutely serious. We learn how to communicate chiropractic effectively. So I started getting so excited with all of these new doctors coming out of school, opening these offices and getting to 1 and 200 a week. I said, the heck with that. I'm not going to cuss purposely, but one might slip. I said, the heck with that. We're making money. Our office, you know, we tap in our Dallas location, we tap about $250 a week. And I just felt stuck. And I'm looking at all of these people opening these offices. They're doing what I'm doing. They're communicating. I said, you know what? I'm going to step back. Dr. Michael, Dr. Hess, open up the Jumpstart program. How much is it going to cost? You know, I'm going to get in the Jumpstart program and I'm going to open another office. So we're making money in our office in Dallas. We're making money. We just built a big, have you been in our house? You didn't been in our house? Well, ask the students from Parker. It's amazing. It's 3,000 square foot and it's all chiropractic. It's huge. You ever seen anybody been to Texas and saw the homes in Texas? They're like mansions, right? $200,000 got me a big old mansion. It's like $700,000 in Atlanta or anywhere else. Not putting the name of these cities down, but everything's big in Texas. So if you know someone who's looking for to be an associate in Texas, everything's bigger. So I get into the Jumpstart program, and I really, really learned a lot of things that I missed in the beginning. And I hang with these dudes all the time, these giants. The Dr. Jessicas, Dr. Towers, the Dr. Erics, Dr. Viscarelli, Dr. Hess. I get in the Jumpstart program and I take $42,000 of my own money. Only thing that I was able to lease was my digital x-ray machine, and I had to give them a bunch of money up front. So 42 G's is what it cost me. I opened up this office in March. I have the students from Parker University serving our office. That guy will tell you every weekend. Tomorrow we have 3 screenings, and it's all Parker and a few of my team members, but it's all the students doing what you guys are doing right now in school because they want to be successful because they've heard my cell phone story. Who here can go a week without an iPhone or any phone, period? You can? You're better than me. You will if you don't stay in these seats, though. So we opened up this office. And in 11 days, we have about 67 new ones. In my first office, it took me about 7 months. You know what? It took me 7 months to convert 67 new ones. You know, and that's where people quitting and all of this stuff. But, because I can screen them, you know, I'll set up a table right now, just me, and I can sign up 30 people. But when they came into the office, I didn't know how to effectively communicate, so I would lose them. So in our DeSoto practice, you know, we're about 38 visits from being 300 a week, and that we opened that one in March. And that's when we already have in the office. And now I have 2. I do like 5 doctor's reports a week. I love it because doctor reports mean cha-ching, but it's a lot. But I humbled myself. I had to go back and be a student again and do what you guys are doing so I can effectively communicate and serve these people. Now, every day I get a different testimony in my office. It's amazing. I stopped posting them because I'm like, people are going to think I'm just showing off. I've never had so many. And it feels great. And we're helping so many people. This Tuesday, we have dinner with the doctor, right? We have a dinner with the doc, and it's like Dr. Cornell's birthday party. right? I'm serious. It's my birthday weekend. You know, my birthday is Tuesday, so it's like Dr. Cornell's birthday party. So I'll pass my phone around and I'll show you my CA. One of my CAs sends me before we have a dinner. At the end of the day, she sends me an email and she tells me how many people we got confirmed. I think it's 153 when I look at my phone. We're going to have a clown. It's going to be an adult birthday party, but kids are invited. We're going to have a clown there. We're going to have people face painted. And every family, in order for you to get in, one person has to get the face paint. If you can't effectively communicate chiropractic, you can't make them get their face paint. I'm telling you guys. So this is what we do. This is what we do. We teach you this stuff, right? We help you learn this. You guys learn. You guys learn the information, and then you come to our office. I have some guys from Parker went up to see Dr. Viscarelli because they are able at 100% to communicate chiropractic. So he flew those guys up. He flew them up. I said, man, these dudes are amazing. Flew them up. They had a great weekend, had fun, enjoyed the mountains in Denver, but they love Texas better because I treat them better. Everything's bigger in Texas. But they are able to communicate at a high level. And so should you, because you don't want to have a starvation period. All right? You don't want to be able to feed your wife, then your pregnant wife. Imagine being broke and getting your wife pregnant. Man, that sucks. And already having a baby and 2 big kids. You know what I mean? It's funny now, but if you don't get the big idea and understand what we're talking about, you'll go through that. And that's stupid. That's dumb and it's not smart. When people are just laying it out for you and you don't follow it, it's not smart. So raise your hand if you want to be smart. All right? You got Dr. Grant and Sam. Oh, they're opening up a practice in Charlotte. Charlotte is how far away from here? An hour. We got Dr. Jessica. How many of you guys been in her office? That's a damn shame. That's a shame. You guys better get on the bus right now, get the big idea, and drive down to Charlotte and go serve that practice. Go do at least, you guys got 10 weeks in a quarter, go do at least 3 screenings a quarter. You guys can carpool. Hell, I'll send you $50 and buy you some gas if that's the problem. You guys need to get on the ball, because if not, you're going to be calling me, Dr. Zeus, you know, I want to talk to you because I remember you told that story and I need $90 to pay my iPhone bill. You're laughing. It's not funny. Get on the ball. Next time we come here and I say who's been to Charlotte, to either Dr. Grant or Dr. Jessica's office, everybody need to be raising their hand. What we gonna do? Don't you got a big event coming up? We're gonna you got a big screening coming up, right? We're gonna pass around a sign-up sheet. And you got these amazing students. You got Katie, you got Cameron, you got all these good students. They're going to teach you guys how to do some screenings. And you guys, at least 2 carloads are going to go to Dr. Jessica's. And if you don't, if we don't get at least 2 carloads, I'm going to fly back up here. But I'm going to bring my homies from New Orleans. All right. So, become a servant is what I'm saying. Man, I got 21 people at my house, between my house and my brother's house, waiting on me to get back to party, but I'd rather be here with you to encourage you, to enlighten you, to not make the mistakes that I made. Be like these doctors who just blowing up straight out of the gates, because it feels good. It feels so good that I'm shooting for a March date to open up another one. It feels that good. You want to feel good? Everybody say, yeah, you want to feel good. You want to feel good? Yeah. Shit, show some emotion. I'm sorry. But I'm serious, man. We're gonna pass down. We're gonna pass around a sign-up sheet. And we're gonna do shifts for you guys to go and serve Dr. Jessica. You remember we did this at Parker a year ago. Am I lying? That's when this guy here, now you get with him. He'll tell you. We passed up a sign-up sheet. Now we got all these kids from Parker. All them people, all the people you saw, all of those people, that's Parker students. Y'all gonna let them outshine y'all? I know everything's big in Texas, but you gonna let them outshine y'all? Are you? No? Yeah, I guess y'all are. Nobody said anything. Are you gonna let them outshine y'all?
No.
All right. Get your sign-up sheet ready. You guys gotta understand, man. This is serious. This is life or death. When you sharing one Chipotle bowl with your wife because you can't afford to, then it won't be funny. It's the real deal. And I'm not trying to scare y'all. I'm gonna keep it 100% real with you. No starvation period. Let's get prepared for success. I appreciate you guys so much for letting me come out and just talk to you guys. And I'm so thankful, man. Let's get on the ball, man. Your community needs you. This profession needs you. Thank you.
That was I want to get on that bus.
Yeah.
That sounds like a fun bus.
Why Dr. Zeus is so passionate is because we see it time and time again, the different roads you can take. How many people did we graduate with, guys, that we see, Tyler and Zeus, how many people do we graduate with? We know that they're just doing awesome practice, and they're blowing up, and they're excited, and they're excited about chiropractic. How many? Maybe on 2 hands, right? You can count it. But it is a total difference between getting prepared now. And if you don't want to go in and screen or do any marketing, then go and just observe in the office. Right now we have a student in our office from Palmer, and he just kept approaching me. He said, "I want to get out to your office. I want to get." He asked me 3 to 4 times, and just with so much heart that I said, "Fine, I'm going to fly you out, Juan. I'm going to fly you out, Juan." And I flew him out. We had a great connection. Now he's serving in our office. He's actually living with one of my CAs in our basement, and he's just serving in the office. He's doing his preceptorship program. And he's doing every single office procedure, and he's not even graduated yet. He can do everything from a financial close to go out and market and give a health talk and go to a factory and just talk to the boss on the job and get in there and do a lunch and learn. He can do every single thing. He can take x-rays when necessary. He can do nerve assessments, muscle assessments. And it's like, we want that for you guys. Why learn all those things when it's too late? And so we have some great examples of that, right?
Yeah, the time to get rejected, the time to learn to get rejected is now while you're in school, right? I mean, there's a lot of cushion here. You have student loans. Typically, most of us here, our expenses are very low right now, right? Some of you, are living 4 or 5 to an apartment, right? Right? Are you? Okay, good. See? It's like you live on noodles. I don't know. So the expenses are very low, but it's like things happen quickly. Anybody, we always talk about this. Anybody can sign a lease. Anybody can sign a 5 or 8-year lease at a place you might lease for your chiropractic practice. That's the easiest part. The easiest part is getting in chiropractic school, right? Getting through chiropractic school. The challenging part is opening that practice, right? Who here got denied from getting into chiropractic school? Anybody? Anybody have a challenge getting into Sherman or it doesn't matter what college you went to. Anybody have a challenge getting here? No, absolutely not. They're happy to have you, right? It's a great college to be at, right? That's not the challenging part. And as hard as boards are and tests, it's not that challenging. Some of us have a little harder time than others, but you can make it through, right? The challenging time is when you sign that lease, right? Now you've got insurances to deal with. Now you've got mortgages. Now you've got team members. Now you've got workers. All these different things that come at you. And the last thing you want to be concerned about is how to get the new ones in, how to build a practice. That's where the joy's at, right? And what happens, I see, is in chiropractic colleges, a lot of us come to chiropractic college full of joy and love for chiropractic. And as much as this institution here is one of the best, if not the best institution to keep your joy, as much as we want to keep our joy, it's like boards and tests and certain professors tell you this and people in chiropractic tell you can't do it. And you start to lose you start to lose your love for chiropractic. Your first love, man, right? Who here remembers when they gave the first adjustment? Or who has given adjustment for it? Right? Everybody remember the first adjustment? You do? Dr. Neal, you remember your first adjustment? That's how you remember, right? And it's like, that was fun, man. It's like you hear it move, it's like, oh my God, you hear that? Did you hear that ball? I heard it, man. It's like, that's like the shot heard around the world, right? You hear that ball move, it's like, you're like fall in love with chiropractic, right? And most of us here probably done that, right? Like Dr. Neal's here, it's like, you're not supposed to be adjusting yet. He's cool, he doesn't care.
Earmuffs.
So he doesn't care. So, but seriously, but what happens is you get beaten down. That's why one of the biggest benefits here is actually plugging into clubs, right? Whatever, obviously technique clubs, but the Amped Club is a great place to plug in at, right? It's free. Everybody say free.
Free.
It's free. It's free right now. You know, it's like it's a time to plug in and yo, to iron sharpens iron, right?
Yeah, that's right. You know, you guys have a great opportunity ahead of you. You're in a great school with principal chiropractic. You have a love for chiropractic. We want you to get rebit by that chiropractic bug and just learn and get excited about it because you're going to know how to give it to the world. You know, we have a student over here from NYCC. I don't know if you heard that earlier. He came down, visited my office. He's like, what are you doing this week? He's running after this so hard. He's like, I want to go to everything that you guys are doing, just like what Dr. Zeus is saying. Because he knows about the graduate. He knows he's way behind the curve. Loved chiropractic, went to chiropractic school, started hating chiropractic. We went to the school, reignited his love. He was he's a beacon of light up there in a pretty dark place, unfortunately, right? So be very thankful. You're in an awesome school, and
yeah, I mean, you know, so you guys here are such an advantage because, and you may not know that, but I mean, like at NYCC, they're taught if they don't do 15 or more minutes of soft tissue rehab with a patient, that they're not doing chiropractic. And that's the truth. And it was very challenging, actually, for us to be up there and even to approach any of these subjects. The students are convinced that they need to do acupuncture, oriental medicine, massage, and chiropractic, and that you do that on every patient. So it's a blessing that you guys are here. So you had that out of your way. It's like you got chiropractic here, man. You got anyway. This like you get understanding chiropractic. Now you just have to put the piece of the puzzle together, the system and procedures to actually utilize it and do it in a big way. You know, so
what we want to do is we want to bring up Grant Lister, Dr. Grant.
Yeah, just great.
Pretty interesting to say. And Grant is somebody that totally ran after this. We brought him up to New York many times. He helped out in the office on all levels. He's somebody that while he was a student, we could put him in place at any point in the office besides the adjustment at that time, of course. And he knew exactly what to do, from picking up the phones to processing a new practice member to giving an office tour to giving a first day education. If I told him to go out and do a health talk, he could just go and do it. If I asked him to go talk to a company, a boss in a company, he could go do it and close them to get us to go in there and do a health talk or get in for a health screening.
Yeah, and that's what you want to do as students. I mean, Dr. Jessica's right here. There's a lot of Dr. Grants opening up in Charlotte, and they're close doc. Dr. Mayfield's right down the street in Greenville. I'm in Atlanta. You can come in, learn how to come to the dinners. Help out with dinner, learn how that functions.
Yeah.
Go business to business. Talk chiropractic to business owners. Set up health talks. Set up these. Go to churches, plug in with churches, cell groups and stuff. Express chiropractic and share chiropractic. And that's how you really get sharp, man, and get prepared. So,
and it's all free. It's all free, right? That's the best part about it.
Yeah. Dr. Grant,
come on up, man.
Well, I'm glad to be here, and these guys talk about me. It's Dr. Grant, but June 19th, not even 2 months ago, I was student intern Grant Lister. So I'm not that far removed from where you guys are sitting at all. And Dr. Brower very humbly talks about his experience in school, where he was only about 6 months out from graduation, where he jumped on the bandwagon. He was like, I know I'm walking down a bad path. I need to do something drastic. And for me, I was kind of the opposite. I figured out what chiropractic was when I was 19 years old. I was doing my undergrad in Florida. I was like, this is incredible. I don't know. I've never heard about this before. And so I started my undergrad at Life University. I just transferred everything. And so chiropractic school is long for you guys. It was a heck of a lot longer for me. That's what it felt like. And so, and so I was at chiropractic school for a long time. And I met Dr. Michael Viscarelli when he was a student. And he drugged me out to Dr. Hess's office. And I walked in the doors, and I'd never seen an office like that. I was like, this is incredible. What do I need to do to get what these guys have? What do I need to do? Because whatever it is, I'm willing to do it. And I think it was Dr. Brower was talking about, I've been to an office where I shadowed this doctor, and he spent 10, or I think it was like closer to 15 minutes hands-on with every person, and then like walking them through exercises. I spent a whole day at this guy's office, and the other day I was just exhausted. I had to lay down in bed. I was just beat. And getting to hang out with Dr. Hess for a day, we're done, and it's like, let's go work out. Let's go do something. Yeah, man, what do you want to do? It's exciting because you're seeing all these people get better. Chiropractic works. And so it's really neat to have that firsthand experience. But I plugged in and connected with Dr. Michael, at the time just Michael, and I did my first screening. And a lot of people have mixed opinions of screenings, and my first screening sucked. It was so bad. It was so bad. I remember we were out in the sun 5 hours out in the sun, Dr. Michael, and he's a loudmouth as it is, so 5 hours with this guy, right? And we're just sweating our butt off. And he's like, yeah, just say A, B, and C. I'm like, great. So I'm just saying, everybody can A, B, and C, A, B, and C. I'm getting rejected. I'm just like, this is freaking miserable. Sweating through my clothes. And at the end of the day, last person I spoke to closed him, collected $20, and I was like, that was awesome. You know, I was like, woo. And so Michael, in the meantime, signed up like 15 people. And we're in the car ride, he goes, yeah, you hear me talking to such and such, this? And I was like, yeah, I heard that, but did you hear this guy? He was going to be C. He's like, yeah. And he's like, how about this other guy? It was blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, but did you hear that one guy collected $20 from me? It was awesome, you know? And so, but continued screening and got better and better and better. And I got to screw up a lot on Dr. Hess's dime. I got to go to these events, and I'm like, yeah, we're Discover Chiropractic. I'd say something completely off the wall, totally wrong. And it made him look bad, not me. So, but I ended up getting pretty darn good at these screenings. And I had one quarter weekend to ask my wife about this. Every single weekend, I was flown to a different state and screened for a doctor. And they paid all my expenses. I got to eat some of the best food in different areas of the country, and it was just an absolute blast. And I screened with Dr. Brower, and we were at the screening. It seemed like it almost wasn't fair. You know, we were just, everybody we stopped to, we signed up. We collected over $900 cash that, in a day doing a screening. That's just screening, right? Just deposits alone. So just this repetition, it's just so much fun. And it's such a neat opportunity. And I'm an hour and a half away, an hour and 20 minutes. We actually mapped it. The place we're negotiating right now is an hour and 20 minutes from this room. So I want you guys to come up to our office and screw up on my behalf. I'm all about it. I know. And Dr. Hess, I started serving in his office, and my breaks, that's what I did. Lots of people, you get these 3-week breaks, and everybody splits. They're gone. So my 3-week breaks, I would go into his office and screw everything up. And his team, I'm sure they got to a point where, like, we were dreading it because we know life break's coming up soon, and Grant's going to come in here, and we're going to fix all of his mistakes and unpiss people off, if that makes sense. So, and it makes sense in my head, be the elephant mediator. And I was learning how to do tours in their office. Tours are a big thing. And I had the script, and I was studying the script for their tour harder than any class. I was like, I own this thing. And I go to do the tour, and they have a process in their office where the team member has to check you off before you're allowed to give a tour to anybody in the office. And so I'm doing this tour, and my wife's working there at the time, and she couldn't check me off. Dr. Hess, didn't want any bias, so I have Cassandra follow me around. And at the end of it, she's like, you missed 2 things. So do it again. Next day, do it again. She goes, but you missed this part this time. So after about a week of this, I'm like, this woman has it out for me. She really does. Like, she's just making this stuff up as we go. And finally, I got checked off to do it. And it was the coolest thing, and it's at a point now where I don't have to think about it. And so I got, like Dr. Brower said, I got to go into his office, and we do a screening, and I get to stick around for a couple extra days and be in his office on a Monday and Tuesday, skip class because it wasn't really that important anyway, right? No, but get to go to his office and just step right in. I get to do these tours. I get to do the consultation. I get to do the day one education, these assessments on people. And it's such a neat experience to have that before you walked across the stage and got your ticket to do it yourself. And so I was so thankful for that experience. So what does it actually mean for us now? I mean, I'm not even 2 months since I've walked across that stage. And we are in the process of setting ourselves apart in this community already in Charlotte. And we sat down with our commercial real estate agent, commercial broker. And we sat down, and he goes, so what do you want? I'm like, well, I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked. We need a minimum of this much TI. We need this many months of free rent. We need a budget of this much per square foot. We have to keep tripling it at this, with this % of an increase annually. This is our cap for it. And he goes, I've never spoken to anybody who knows about half of those. And I was like, yeah, I mean, we know what we need. And then it came back, we're negotiating this place. I was like, well, let's talk to him about amortizing the lease. And he goes, what? Yeah, that's a great idea. Perfect. And so it's been so nice to have this stuff in my back pocket. We're not searching around trying to figure things out, trying to reinvent the wheel. I've gotten to see these guys screw up ahead of me, and what did you do wrong, and how do I not go through what you're doing right now? Makes sense, right? That's what the Jumpstart program is about. And this is a sign-up so everybody can come out and make mistakes on my behalf and Dr. Jessica's behalf. So, and we're going into these communities and we're doing these networking events. We're introducing our business, and we talk about adjusting babies, adjusting pregnant women, and we have, every time, without failure, somebody comes up to us afterwards, I've never heard of babies being adjusted. Why would you adjust the baby? Why would you do that? And it doesn't matter if they're talking to me or my wife, it just instantly sets it apart. And they're like, that's incredible. When can I make an appointment to come in? When can I come in? That's one of our biggest issues right now is when can I come in? So it's a good problem to have. And we've had several business owners, because you're about to be a business owner. And we've had several business owners ask us, you guys are so young, how do you know what you know? How are you moving forward so effectively, so efficiently? What do you think about, and they're asking us questions, what do you think about this? Could you speak at this event just about business? You know, yes, you have a chance to promote your office, but can you just talk to us about business a little bit? And there's this group, I won't throw down this guy's name, but it's a group he leads, it's a networking group, but he's like, I'd really like you just to talk to us about what does it mean to form a relationship versus social media? Because everybody's coming through like SEO, there's nothing personal anymore. It's all SEO, online, reaching people through Google. And so it's kind of a transition. And we're in just a really, really neat position with that. I would say for all of you guys, if there's a big takeaway that you can have from this, some of you guys walking the line, walking the fence a little bit, sweat it out in the sun for 5 hours, do a screening, and it's probably going to suck. You might not even get that one person, but you'll get the time to screw up on somebody else's dime. You really will. And it's one of the best things you can ever do. If you guys ever have any questions for me or my wife, you know, come check us out. We won't hide from you. We won't run from you. And the whole Jumpstart program, everybody wants to know, what does this process look like? How do you flow through with AMP? You start out now. For one, you're going to save a bunch of money because these docs are paying a lot more than what students pay. The whole goal is to bless students. That's the heart of this organization from the get-go. That's why I was so drawn to it. It's let's not go after these chiropractors who've been beaten down, told they have to do A, B, and C. Let's get students and raise them up correctly so we can transform these communities. And nobody in my community knows what chiropractic is. I haven't had anybody, whenever we talk to them about subluxation, obviously we don't throw out the word subluxation, but misalignments, nerves, they're like, I had no idea chiropractic did that. Have you guys been out in the community here much? And this is home of Sherman College, Spartanburg. But I'm sure if you guys just, on your own, just walk around and ask people, so do you guys know what chiropractic is? And listen to what they say. Neck pain, back pain, car accidents, slips, falls, things like that. So we need to change the paradigm, right, man? When we get out of school, you got to change this paradigm. We got to do some big things. We need to be on the forefront of healthcare, get away from sick care and get into true healthcare. I'm glad to be here. If you guys have any questions for me, please don't hesitate. And Dr. Bradley, you guys want to come on up?
It's awesome. I love what he stands for. It's pure chiropractic. I remember I met Grant at a Gonstead seminar when he was an undergrad and I was in the second quarter. We had some fun experiences at that conference. That was quite interesting. But so we really got a lot of information out there, a lot of content. I hope you guys took a lot of notes. Tomorrow is really gonna be the nuts and bolts of all this. All the procedures, all the systems, we're gonna just bullet point, we're gonna outline. And what we want you guys to do is once we label them and give them to you all, we want you to start checking them off. Yep, I got it. Yep, I got it. I got it. So that when you open up, you can be like Grant up here, not only knowing how to run his office, but also knowing how to run a business. You hear he's talking about some of those terms, negotiating his leases, some of the things that I've already forgotten, right? Triple net. Let me know what triple net is. Cam fees. So you want to know all these things so you're not behind a curve when you're dealing with these people, and so you're not losing out on tons and tons of money, and it's not putting you behind a curve right from the start.
Yeah, and then so once you get that handled with your practice, then it's like the new practice number funnels. We're going to talk about the funnel tomorrow, all the different ways you can funnel people into your practice. And then once they're funneled, we're going to take you through the steps of every step. We call it a 30,000-foot view. It means like if you can imagine looking down on top of a practice, a very high-functioning practice that's profitable, and look at all the steps that a new practice member goes through and the steps that you go through to keep a practice member under care for the long term. We're going to go over that tomorrow. We're also going to do like impromptu, like real life stuff, like
Yeah.
questions like gravel docs participate, questions like
I feel worse after my adjustment.
yeah. How do you? Does anybody do you know how to answer that? Do I feel worse after my adjustment?
I don't need to go to a chiropractor. I stretch. I do yoga, or I do whatever. You can fill in the blank.
Yeah. How about different ones like I don't think I need X-rays.
Right.
That's a good one. How or I can't afford the care. Right. Or
Once you go to a chiropractor, do you have to go forever? And if somebody says that to you, they're really coming from a place of really a lot of negativity with chiropractic. So you got to make sure you answer that one correctly.
Yeah. So we're going to do a lot of impromptu questions. We're going to go through a lot of that. We're also going to have to do some impromptu stuff about how to explain an ANS chart.
Yeah.
Right. How to just a simple explanation. How to explain chiropractic in 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds. Right. Maybe 5 minutes, and then obviously there's a doctor's report. But how do you explain chiropractic in 30 seconds or 60 seconds or 90 seconds?
Yeah. We did a lot of overall thinking tonight. We want to really narrow it down and just give you guys some bullet points tomorrow. And like I said, that way when you guys start plugging in with club and start getting involved, you'll start knowing exactly what to do and when and what you need to do.
Yep. So who knows where? Let's see. OC3 is. Anybody know where OC3 is? Okay, good. Everybody knows. It's a big camp with OC3, right? We met someone. We were there. She was a waitress. She's like, "Oh, I heard about you guys are coming to college." She's like, "Where are you guys at?" I'm like, "It's just at the campus." She's like, "Well, where at campus?" I'm like, "I know it's a big school, but I'm sure you know." She was moving here. So, are you transferring from Parker?
Yeah.
Awesome. When did you get here?
2 months ago.
Okay, cool. You could definitely plug in this guy.
I got about 60 minutes every day to get here. That's all I have.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
Another most important thing about tomorrow is we raise a lot of questions tonight in your minds. Make sure you write down those questions. We're going to do a big chunk of tomorrow is make questions and answers.
But ask anything. It's like any type of questions about,
where do you get the shoes?
Where do you get these shoes?
Little things.
How do you always wear new shoes every time you do a launch, right?
I don't know.
We buy them on Saturday.
So that kind of stuff. So yeah, bring question and answers. We're going to take as many questions we can tomorrow. It's going to be a blast. So we're also going to have coffee and bagels here in the morning, right? I think bagels are okay. So we're going to get organic, gluten-free,
Vegans.
yeast-free vegan donuts and bagels tomorrow. So just enjoy. Fair trade, organic, gluten-free, cholesterol-free coffee. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be perfect. And you guys will be high as a kite. It's going to be awesome. So, did you all get a lot out of tonight? Good. So since you guys got so much, couple of things. Who's going to invite a friend tomorrow? Who's coming tomorrow? Yeah. Awesome.
All right.
So who's going to invite a friend tomorrow? Right. Seriously though, I mean, I know the school, Thunder Neal House School's 300 students plus now. I'm sure you guys. Plus. So I know a lot of there was a big TRT thing going on. So I know a lot of club members from Life and Sherman are at the TRT thing in Atlanta. So I know people are there. But there's a lot of students that should be here tonight that weren't here, right? Who knows someone that should be here tonight? Sure. I mean, right? Sure, we should. Everybody knows it. So encourage them. I mean, we met. She was waitressing tonight at the Marriott, so she'll be here tomorrow. She's all pumped up. Yeah. So she'll be here. So I know we invited her. So invite somebody, right? Invite somebody.
What we always say is, if you think you're going to go out in your community and try to bring somebody that knows nothing about chiropractic and even your office, then you should be able to bring people that know about chiropractic to this event tomorrow. Yeah. Right. That's the least that you should be able to do. You should be able to talk to your family members and get them to love chiropractic. But at the very least, get your fellow students to love chiropractic.
Yep.
And want to advance it.
One last thing, all right? You guys, so who wants to do us a favor tonight? Who wants to do us a favor? Okay, good. So take your smartphone, right? I want you all to take a picture of, you can do a selfie, right? Or you can do a group shot. Me and Dr. Berger are going to sit up here. You can do a shot of us. You can put your picture or put your phone over towards Dr. Cohen and take a picture of him from across the room. Or you can take a picture of each other there, a good shot back. And I want you to put it on Facebook and tag Launch Tour, right? Tag Launch Tour. And if you obviously love to friend you guys on Facebook. So take a picture. I see some of you guys aren't doing it. I mean, what the heck, We came up here. We came from Texas, all over the country, $1,000 to come here. It's a free event. At least you know, take a picture, and because that's going to help students see what's going on and be here tomorrow. That's going to help you be here tomorrow.
Thank you guys so much for tonight.
Hold on, don't move, because me and Robert, we're going to get ourselves.
Okay.
We're doing ours too. We're doing ours too.
All right. Now it's official. Thanks, guys.
Come on, right here. All right. right, so, what time? Oh, cool. OC, everybody said OC3. OC3 tomorrow. OC3 tomorrow. OC3, 9 a.m.
All right, can I have everybody to the front, group photo?
What's that?
I know that. I know that.
Wait, no, we're going all in. I'm going all out. Hey, we're live.
All right, to the front, boys.
Cool. Everybody get this picture real quick. Everybody get the picture. Okay, Zeus. Tomorrow's OC3, 9 a.m. Everybody get a picture. Everybody get a picture. Everybody in. Zeus, go in front. Everybody, hold on to this. Whoa. It's kids.
Oh, yeah. All right, you guys got to trim in. Be close.
Dr. Cohen, you guys gotta get in here too. Come on, Tristan. Okay, do that. You can't do like that.
You want to come for an
Dr. Cohen, you got to go in.
I gotta go in.
You got to cramp in a bit.
Yeah.
All right. You guys ready?
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Eyes open, another time. 1, 2, 3, smile.
Sorry, I closed.
Let me see.
Come on. Hurry up and buy.
All right, you guys are fine.
I know, it's so funny. We just can't get enough of our sweet little kids. We just love
What's your name? Cody? What's it, Cody? No matter where you come from,